Let the heat flow through you.
Ah, Skyscraper. Well, goddamn, where do we start with this? Obviously, full spoilers ahead, but this movie is bad. It's kind of what you expect, and I certainly didn't go into it expecting anything great. We open on the scene setting, which is kind of important. The Rock is a member of the FBI, SWAT, whatever, hostage situation, and oh no, it all goes tits up and he runs into the line of a grenade. Then we get introduced to The Rock's alter ego, Dwayne "The Egg" Johnson. Seriously, this is all I could think of when I watched him get carted off to the hospital. He looked exactly like Humpty Dumpty, a big ol' egg. This stuff is kind of important because flash forward to the actual film, Mr. Rock is a security expert and he's hired to check out the security and safety of this ridiculously high and ridiculously unreal building, the Pearl. But oh no, he's an amputee, which for the record is obviously awful and something no one should be ridiculed for, but why is it included in the film? It's included simply to make The Rock somewhat more relatable. But he isn't. He's a behemoth of a man, he's a giant of a guy, a monster of a dude. You get the picture. So anyway, by unreal building, I mean this building would never be a reality. So we see in a montage, which is essentially unforgivable in this day and age, of who built this skyscraper and how he's an entrepreneur. So why are you spending billions on a building? Oh right, yeah, because at the top is a room filled with cameras and mirrors and motion sensors that reflect off everything else, and this is apparently going to be a tourist hotspot. Are you smoking crack? Seriously, why is this room going to be a worldwide tourist hotspot? This is a room that could be put anywhere, especially anywhere else that isn't 200 floors up or whatever it was. It's also just a high-tech hall of mirrors. I could make this at my home, for God's sake. So anyway, The Rock is at the skyscraper because he needs to check the security and safety of the building, because apparently being a former FBI or SWAT team means you're an expert on fire evacuations. You what, mate? So he's here at the Pearl with his wife and family. We get a swift introduction to the MacGuffin of the movie, a tablet that can control everything that is very purposely and skillfully placed in Dwayne's possession. Oh yes, foreshadowing for the MacGuffin that will be needed later in the movie. I love it. And here is where we see some sinister goings on. The Rock's mate that got him the job is working for some unseen foe that clearly wants something to do with something. Oh no. So anyway, bad guys want something in the Pearl and it leads to this ridiculous scene. I get that clearly somehow they have burrowed their way into the hotel, but what did they use? Because the stone just slowly cracked and split as if it was ice, and secondly, when the wall fell away, did they just run off? Because when it fell down no one was there. Where did they go? So anyway, this movie is some kind of heightened reality because the mother comes back from panda time with her kids and they stumble across some guys dressed in red overalls who clearly look like they are doing some maintenance, and they even say, yeah, we are just checking some maintenance, but boom! The wife is ultra skeptical of them. Why? They're dressed in overalls. They say they are doing work. They talk to you normally and not suspiciously. And you're suspicious. The floor you're on in the hotel is not open. You are aware that there is work still to be done in other areas. So why are you so suspicious? But hey, it's not all bad. The Rock's mate decides to turn on him to get the tablet and we get a great fight scene, which is quite brutal. People being thrown into TVs, kitchen knives being used, and his mate even rips off his prosthetic leg. Amazingly though, his mate manages to shoot himself. I don't understand this angle. How did this happen? Unless The Rock somehow grabbed it and flipped it around and then bang, it doesn't make any sense. Anyway, the evil South African gang start a fire in the building, and then we get this dumb scene.
Should we evacuate?
Evacuate?
Yes, take a helicopter.
Why would we do that?
Well, the building's on fire.
The building isn't on fire. The 96th floor is on fire. We're more than 100 stories above that, and the anti-fire measures will keep it there.
Which shows how cocky this entrepreneur is. Oh, will they? Will they? The anti-fire measures, they'll keep you safe? Will they? Will they, mate? I understand as an entrepreneur you need to take risks, but Jesus Christ, your life isn't a risk worth taking. Money can come and go, but your life? Why would you be willing to do that? Anyway, K-pop Rejects decides that they now know where The Rock is and they head to his location to steal the MacGuffin tablet, of course. How does this woman see with this haircut? I remember this haircut back, what was it, 10 years ago? What were these idiots called again? Scene kids? Emos? Whatever it is, get it the fuck out my blockbuster movie, please. Oh, I almost forgot, one of The Rock's kids has asthma in this. Probably the most ham-fisted illness you could give one of your characters in a movie that features heavy amounts of fire. But it's okay guys, don't worry. Don't worry at all for little Junior, because his asthma only affects him when the plot needs it to and leaves him alone every other time. So this is perhaps one of the best times to mention that actually this movie's pacing is all over the place. So it's an hour and 40 minutes long. This movie gets right into it. 40 minutes into the film and the building is on fire. The kids are upstairs trapped and The Rock is using FaceTime to talk them through some kind of escape route. And there's still an hour to go. An hour to go. This is like second act territory and yet there is an hour to go. So anyway, an hour to go. The building is on fire, his family are trapped and now the police are after The Rock. Because they believe he has something to do with the murder of his mate. Pretty reasonable, to be honest. But oh no, The Rock is a badass and he manages to grapple two armed police and run away. All whilst being an amputee. Now I'm aware that amputees can run and everything, but normally it's with the use of the blade prosthetic. The Rock just has a normal prosthetic leg. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this would cause some issues, right? And let's not even go into this ridiculous jump that he does. You know, the one from the trailers. Which, hilariously, the distance he was jumping in the trailers to the distance he was jumping in the movie is vastly different. So that was some skillful edits there. Don't get me wrong, it's still a ridiculously far jump and no one could do it, but they definitely changed it. Take a look at this. So it's important to clarify that all of this stuff wouldn't actually be worth ripping into if the movie didn't take itself seriously. I could laugh along with it, but it's framing The Rock as some kind of Jason Bourne character knockoff with incredible skills and believable action stunts. So anyway, moving on, the reason the South African criminals have done all of this is because the entrepreneur has something in his safe that they want. Some USB stick, that's it. And their grand plan was to get the building empty so they could go to the penthouse and get it. Awesome, great plan guys. Who came up with this shit? Were you smoking crack during this pitch? Anyway, the movie culminates in the most ridiculous fight between The Rock and Mr. South African Gangster in the Pearl, the glorified Hall of Mirrors, and it ends up with Mr. S.A. holding a grenade and The Rock's daughter, threatening to blow them up, and The Rock has a gun, of course. He lowers it. But remember that epic foreshadowing from earlier? Oh yes, The Rock states, hey, there's one thing you should know. After lowering the gun, I'm behind you. What? Come again, mate. Why in the hell would you do that? He still had the chance of turning around quickly and killing you. But anyway, Mr. Dwayne the Egg Johnson rams into the villain and he falls down the hole and boom! Blows himself up with a grenade that he could have easily just dropped in the room with The Rock and his daughter in. The end. They all live happily ever after. Skyscraper should have taken itself less seriously. It's not very good. I don't recommend it. And I'm glad I did not go to watch this in theatres. So, what did you think of Skyscraper? Good? Bad? Drop all your thoughts down below in the comment section. Sorry that the Mr. Hate reviews have been on a break. I had a lot of other work I needed to do. These take a long time to make and edit and just general prep. But I have the next one lined up, so expect that very, very soon. And all I can say is it's Transformers based. Anyway, and as always, if you enjoyed the content and what I do here, consider becoming a patron to the channel via the link in the description box, especially if you enjoy these hate reviews because they get demonetized, copyright claimed, you name it. YouTube hates these things. They're not liked. You can also find my PO box address in the description box too, so if you do want to send me anything, you can. Literally whatever. Anyway, and as always, I've been Mr. H. I will catch you in the next video.